Hello and welcome back to the Prosperity by Design podcast. There are a lot of things that I want to talk about today, but the one thing that I am going to talk about today is how working less really does help you make more. And it's going to be a quick little anecdote. I like to think of my podcast as quick little anecdotes, I guess you could say. That's a big word. They're like just little stories and glimpses. But today we're going to be talking about working less equals making more money. So I'm going to give you an example. And here's how the example goes. I walked into work earlier this year and I was actually saying to one of my friends who might be a regular listener of this podcast, Lindsay, I was telling her how I really wasn't doing too much at work lately and I felt like I needed to pick up the slack more or less. Like I was like in a slow season at work. And obviously since then it's kind of picked up. But I was like, yeah, it's really slow and I'm not really doing that much. Like I'm obviously like there and I'm doing the paperwork and I'm doing all this stuff, but I wasn't actually doing as much work as when it's busy. And what happened was literally the very next day, after I had decided a couple of things on the, outside of work, literally the very next day, I wound up getting a raise. I was like, wow, doing less made me more. Like, I was busy. There was definitely a busy season when I first started in this new position. And then it got slow. And as things were slow was when I got the raise. I was like, wow, this is really kind of true. Now, that's just one particular, obviously, like magnifying glass instance. But working less really does make you more. And if I were to think about it in terms of sales even, and just talk about it in terms of sales, when I don't try on the phone with some of the customers that I have, and I'm not really doing too much, I'm doing a lot more listening, they talk themselves into buying the items that they need or that they want. Like, I don't have to follow up with them. I just have to keep them talking on the phone long enough for them to talk themselves into buying. That's really just being an ear for them to like I'm listening to them, like being an ear for them to talk to. And it's really kind of interesting how that works because I'm not doing a whole lot in terms of that conversation. I'm literally just listening, but it makes me more money. And it's really impressive how that works out because you would think that with the way that society kind of works, that you need to work hard to make money. And that's just not right. Like, really, it's just work smart to make money. The smarter you can go about a task or a circumstance or whatever, the more money you're likely going to be making. The book is called Think and Grow Rich, not Work and Grow Rich. That's a quote from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But it really is true. The book is Think and Grow Rich. And when you're being smart about a task that you have or an item that needs to be done in your business or whatever, it really pays to be smart about it and to think it through because it's going to pay you back like twice what it costs, if not more. So that is another instance, just the sales instance there, where literally like I have people call in every day and put in an order for at least like $800 to $1,200, and I do very minimal talking on the phone. Okay? Just to give you an idea. Now, the next instance that originally when I was talking about this in past podcasts, it was about an example that sticks out to me from the company that I'm working for right now, where the owner really doesn't come into the office. And you'll find that with most companies, especially most small businesses, the owners really don't go to work as often as you would think. Like, they're not in the office as often as you would think that they would have to be in the office. And that's because they're doing other things. They say that they're doing other things. For some of them, it's, relaxing. For some of them, it's taking care of maybe something that needs to happen in a different property or whatever. They're maybe watching the house or something. There's a plumber there. You never know. Maybe they're out golfing. I know that a lot of owners are going out recreationally and golfing with other people who they would like to be customers, and they go out and they play a round of golf, or they play some tennis, and after the round of golf or after the round of tennis, then that's when they talk about business, because they just spent all this time together. They were playing a sport, hitting a ball around, and that releases endorphins. And when you have endorphins released, it makes you happy. And when you're happy, you make positive decisions, or like growth-oriented decisions, or decisions that if I were a business owner and I took you out to go golfing, it's going to work in my favor because I paid for your round of golf. Now your endorphins are going because we walked through all 18 holes. And, at the end of the course, at the end of the game, then we bring up business, and you're more likely to do business with me because, well, I just treated you to a good time, and I covered your game, and we're here talking about how else we can work together. There are a lot of business owners that do that. Why do you think doctors do the same thing? Because they're building their business, they're marketing. That's really what it is. They're marketing. And sometimes the best way for you to market is to be there in person and to show people and to be around people so that they get an idea of you and your energy. Because I can tell you right now, it's 100% different in person than it is online to meet someone and to feel their energy. And it is impressive, the difference that you feel from someone when you go meet them in person. And that's not to be oh yeah, don't go do it. Absolutely, go meet these people. But understand that you pick up on a lot when you know these people and you meet them in person versus just knowing them online over Instagram or over YouTube or over Facebook, whatever, TikTok, Threads, the whole gamut. There is a huge difference in how people carry themselves and their energy and how they come off digitally versus in real life. And I think it's really important to cover that because that also affects how you do business as a business owner. And, a lot of people put up the highlight reel on their social media. I don't know that it's necessarily the best tactic. It probably makes you a lot of money when you put up the highlight reel because you're selling the dream, but you're not being honest with people and you're not being transparent with people. And I think that that's probably the most important thing, because if something were to come up and it's unexpected and you have a falling out because of it, your reputation is now at stake. And it goes both ways. So something to consider when you are a business owner and you are, putting yourself out there, getting to know new people, you're working, you want to be working at a capacity that is going to be manageable for you, profitable for you, and it's going to help keep you as your reputation is intact. Okay? So working less, in a sense, really does make you more, because I just think about the golfing example again. You really do nothing on a golf course. You hit a ball and you put it in a hole and it's oh, okay, let's do it again. You hit it 4 or 5 times and then that's your score for one hole. And then you do 18 holes and then it's oh, we just played a round of golf. And it's definitely not as intense as crew or rowing or weightlifting or powerlifting or bodybuilding. Those things are very hard on your body, and it is obviously a lot more profitable than something like, and I'm not saying that powerlifting isn't profitable. I'm sure that in a world or in a competition area, it is, and it can be, but a lot of people for a very long time, I'm using the golf example because it's so well known, have made a lot of money working less, like on the golf course, literally playing. They're playing, if you think about it at the end of the day. They're not working, they're playing. And they're making more money because they're playing. Just a thought. So I want to thank you for tuning in. As always, reviews and ratings are very much appreciated. That's how podcasts get pushed out to newer audiences and new listeners. So if you have not yet left a review, I would very much appreciate it. I am probably going to be putting all of these on YouTube very soon, but it has obviously been a very difficult task to have a video, like a camera recording, while I'm recording my podcast, just due to the fact that when I record my podcast, 9 times out of 10, it's in a car on the way to work. So there's that, which makes it a little difficult to make a camera recording. But YouTube is another area that I have been really focusing on in the last couple of months. And if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube, I would definitely also recommend that, because I am going to be talking more about the personal development side of things there. And that is literally just my name, Fallon K. Moran. If you go onto YouTube and you search Fallon K. Moran, I'm probably like the first 1 or 2 to pop up my channel. And you can go subscribe, turn on notifications. What I can tell you is that I have 3 main focuses, and my podcast is one of them. Oh, and also I will be putting all of these links in the show notes. If you had a takeaway from today's episode, shoot me a message on Instagram and let me know what it was. I'd love to hear it. And if you have any other ideas, I'd also love to hear about them as well. I am going to probably also include some of the topics that I do on my other platforms in my podcast, but I have to decide how I'm going to go about it. Not that it really matters to you, but it's more of like a reflection for me so that I remember, because I'm a verbal processor. I have to talk things out. So I like to think of this time on the podcast as us talking things out. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you very soon.